I offer this to you in the name of God, Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. Please be seated. Today is a threefold feast. It is the Feast of the Transfiguration. It is the feast of the kickoff of the Bless the Future campaign. And it is the feast of the Super Bowl soup lunch after church, to which you are heartily invited to go. But back to the mountain. Here we are. Jesus, James, John, and Peter find themselves up on the top of a mountain 6 days after something. 6 days after they find it. 6 days after what? Well, 6 days prior, they are in Caesarea Philippi. That's the moment when Jesus says, "Who do you say that I am?" And Peter blurts out, "You are the Messiah." And Jesus says, "You are the rock on which my church will be built." And then we sort of know the trajectory of Peter's life. Not all is stability and tradition. He's less a foundational monument that stays in place and more of a rolling stone, which is his call to keep moving. So there they are, they're on the mountain and they see a vision. Now, had they gone apart to this place, as Jesus often does, he says, let's go apart to a private place to pray. Had they gone to pray and that's where they see the vision? Did Jesus know what was going to happen, so that's why he took them up there? We don't know. We just know something happened. And they saw Moses and Elijah and Jesus, the law, the prophets fulfilled in the Messiah, and they're overwhelmed. And a voice says, "This is my son. Listen to him." The vision passes. And Peter does what Peter does. He says, "Lord, it is really good we're here. Let me build a monument. Let's mark the moment. Let's stabilize this instant in time forever and forever." But a static structure sentimentalizes something. This is not an incident to be ossified and made stable, a memory to be memorialized, to freeze frame, a selected revelation. But rather, this is a moment to explode their vision into what this means. God is God in Jesus, my son, listen to him. And the next thing they do is go down the mountain. Because they cannot capture the moment in a monument, but they can be catapulted out into the world in mission. They go up the mountain to go out into the world to bring people in. So today is the kickoff for the Bless the Future capital campaign, the Renovision vision, the time when people have come up to this particular mountain and motivated and seen the Lord to go out into the community to bring everybody in. It's not to create a timelessness of space, but a place where the timeliness of our time, our culture, the needs around us, which really matter, need us to come up and go out and bring people in the most effective and welcoming way possible. So, on behalf of the campaign, let me share with you, on behalf of the campaign, this very fine video made by the campaign.
My name is Sharon Taylor. I've been coming to St. Lawrence since before I was born. St. Lawrence, it is the people, it's the connection, and it's the beauty. I think it's a beautiful worship space, but it's 30 years old, and it would be nice to add to that beauty. The very first time I saw the walkthrough that was presented by the designer, my first thought was, where do I send the check? Once it's completed, any new person walking in and seeing the beauty of it and the light and the open and the living elements inside it, they're going to think this is a church that cares about their space.
My name's Ron Cooper.
And I'm Delia Cooper.
And we've been coming to St. Lawrence over 40 years. I was a warden when we did this, the building, so I was very thrilled with what we came up with. But now, some of the things we've reviewed with the renovation team was going to make it even better.
I like the parts that we're keeping. I love our cross. I love our stained glass windows. There are lots of things about this sanctuary that I really like. But right now, it needs to be cleaned up and updated because it's been like this for 30 years.
My name's Carla.
And I'm Mike.
And I have something like a 23-year history. You know, with liturgical space, you always have to ask, what does this say about us? What does this say about our relationship to God? We now wish to see that in a different way.
Well, I'm excited, first of all, about the future of St. Lawrence. You can see it over the last 5 or 6 years, how it has not just grown in terms of members, but the diversity, the excitement, the sense of community, the energy you feel in the service, and the way people connect. There is a real sense of community. I think the importance of Renovision is there has to be a next step. For people that may be new to church, it doesn't look like a church, not the traditional church. They may feel much more comfortable.
Hi, my name's Connie Keane, and I've been coming to St. Lawrence for about 30 years. I grew up in the traditional kind of cookie-cutter Anglican churches in BC, where they're the, wood structures, and coming in, you had glass. You could see into the sanctuary, lots of light coming in. I think the building gave me just a sense of I wasn't going back to the old church where I had grown up. I was going to move forward with my faith. So I think it helped me to stay. It helped make me want to come back, knowing that I was going to move forward. Yeah, I think the new design of the sanctuary, just in its modernness, its openness and cleanness, would make them think that we're open. It's more contemporary, that our thoughts are contemporary. My hope for the future of St. Lawrence is that it will be to other families or other young people what it has been for me.
My name is Mitch Dodd.
I'm Kaylee Dodd.
We both live in Coquitlam, and we've been coming to St. Lawrence since early 2009. The Renovision team's done a very good job at not just looking at the Renovision, but starting to look at the depreciation report so that we can be great stewards of the building and maintain its strength and community by updating things at the right time so that it doesn't cost you more later on. I'm excited for the flexibility and that it will be thought out for the next 30 years.
It'll be new and fresh so people want to come and see that. It makes me feel like it's like a whole new building, actually. I'd hope that more youth and more people join, because I think if there was a bigger youth group, more people would come.
I want to continue to give to this capital campaign so that our future is here and present in the church.
Accepted this opportunity to be called here as your interim rector. It was one of the great appeals of coming to a place that is so alive and very true to your patron saint, Saint Lawrence, born in the year 258 AD, who is the patron saint of the city of Rome, students, miners, tanners, chefs, soup be noted, the poor, and firefighters. Ben, who made this very fine video, is training to be a firefighter. So truly true to your calling. But Lawrence was born and grew up and was ordained into a culture in Rome that was terribly inhospitable to Christians. The emperor called them the image of the hatred of the human race. Didn't like Christians, and so ordered most of them to be killed. And St. Lawrence would be, of course, among them, and he was arrested. But Lawrence was known for the fact that he knew that the poor, the handicapped, the needy, the young, the joyful, the ill, that all people were in need of God's care, and that the emperor was coming for them. So he took all the treasures of the church, the money, the gold, the silver, and started to give it away to people of all sorts, not even fellow believers necessarily, but to give it away. He went up to his own vision to go out to bring people in. This did not settle well with Emperor Valerian, who said, look, I'll give you 3 days to bring the treasures of the church back to me, and then I'll pardon you. And so for 3 days, Lawrence went out among the poor and the handicapped and the helpless and the happy and the joyful and the young, and brought them all before Valerian and said, here is the treasure of the church. He was martyred for it, but he stood for what he believed. And St. Augustine, many years later, reflected on the heroism of this wonderful deacon to say, because of his witness, on no account may any class of people despair of thinking that God has not called them. He had a vision of faith that took him out to bring others in, not even necessarily fellow believers, but just those that his call to Christ compelled him to welcome, all inclusion, not necessarily conversion, and particularly aware, interestingly in this time as well, of accessibility, a place where handicapped can come. So you're true to your patron saint, and it reminds me of this time watching public television back in the States one time, watching the Actors Studio. I don't know if anybody remembers this, with James Lipton, who would interview famous actors and actresses. And at the end, he would always say, if there is a God and you get to the pearly gates, what do you want to hear God say when you get there? Well, one day he's interviewing Meryl Streep. He says, what do you want to hear God say? And she said, everybody in. That is the notion of St. Lawrence, the notion of this Blessing the Future campaign, certainly the ethos, the ethic, and the behavior of those of you who are here. And of course, real change brings real change. There can be some grief in that, there can be some sense of loss in that, but it's always a moment of moving forward. Because just as Elisha is not that excited to have Elijah go, the mantle is passed, and the story continues to be told, and the future continues to come. The Bible is a compendium of stories of God blessing the future over and over again. Not because we're supposed to memorialize and sentimentalize sacred spaces, not to capture a moment in stability, but to open space for the Spirit of the Holy to break free. So this is that place. God is always blessing the future. And now it is our opportunity to do the same. Amen.